Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be the introduction to my palette roulette series that I am now going to be having on my channel. I recently uploaded a video saying that I am going to be quitting some project pans, and I also was going to be quitting my panels eyeshadows. So if you haven't seen that video, I will link it up above. You should definitely watch it. It's kind of all over the place, but I am sorry. You know what? I was nervous and I was rambling. But if you don't want to click that video, then I'm just going to explain it to you real quickly right now. I quit project pans. That's it. I quit. I quit panels eyeshadows. That was it. So because I quit panels eyeshadows, I definitely still wanted to do something similar to it where I focus on palettes and then update you each month. So I decided that I was going to be doing a palette roulette. Now I'm still going to be picking at random 5 palettes, and those palettes are going to be the palettes that I'm going to focus on for that month. So that way it's not just focusing on 5 shadows, it's not just using one shadow out of the whole palette. I will be able to use all the shadows. I will come back in a month, update you on my progress, show you looks that I have created with those palettes. I can use each palette one by itself to create a look, or I can combine all 5 of them. So I just feel like this is way better for my collection, way better for my Instagram, way better for YouTube if I just did it this way. Literally have over 200. The last time I counted, I had 260 something. I still haven't counted all of them. If I count all of them by the time I edit this video, then I will leave it on the screen. So with that amount of eyeshadow palettes, I definitely cannot focus on just 5 shades until I hit pan on 1 and get to roll 1 out. And yes, realistically, I know that I was still able to use other shadows, but if I wanted you guys to see the best progress, I will only have to focus on those 5, and it was just too much for me. Like I get that people do it and they do it well, but I don't know how they do it, honey. I'm gonna stop rambling now. So if you want to see the palettes that I'm going to be rolling in for my first month of palette roulette, then definitely keep on watching. I actually wasn't going to film this video yet. I was going to wait until I update all my palettes in the Tiny Decisions app. So last night I had 262 palettes in my Tiny Decisions app, and I decided that I was going to erase the whole wheel and start again. And the reason why is because I didn't know which ones I added, which ones I took out. I do have some palettes to the side that I do plan on kind of decluttering. I think I'm gonna really declutter them after I do my inventory, so that way we can see what I start with and what I end with. There's a bunch of like powders and things that I know I'm not gonna get to or even use, but I just want to do inventory first and then the declutter. I know I could just do it in one video, but why do it in one video if I could make 2 out of each section? You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't going to do it until I put all my palettes in, but I figured that this will be the perfect time to, you know, to kind of do it now, because the only palettes that I really have here are the palettes that I put back here. Now I recently changed things around. I took all my palettes out of my drawer and most of them from under my seat, and I put it in something else where I can actually see them. But in this one right here is the mini palettes, like the ColourPop 9-pan palettes, the e.l.f. bite-size palettes, the Huda Beauty palettes, those type of palettes in 2 of these drawers. The top 2, oh, that was open. So in this one right here, and then in this one, those are the small palettes. So I figured instead of waiting, I can just do my first month with those palettes in. So that way, you know, I have a better chance of using the small palettes that I really don't reach for, because there's a bunch that I have not even touched yet. So this is going to be different because I'm not picking any shades. I am picking the palette at random, but I'm not picking any shades. So that's after I show you the palette, that's it. That's going to be the end of the video. So next month when I update you guys, I will have a longer video for you guys, because I will be able to review the palette for you and show you looks that I have created with the palette. I also plan on tallying the amount of times I use each eyeshadow, and you never know, there might be a time that I just feel like I don't need the palette in my collection, so I just want to get rid of it, or whatever the case may be. So I'm talking again. I'm talking too much again. I don't like it. Anyways, so this is what the wheel looks like. I'm going to be picking at random. So let's see what the first one is. See, we are already getting off to a great start because the first palette is ColourPop Nude Mood, and I have never used that palette. So I'm going to reset the wheel and we are going to pick again. Okay, so the next palette is the ABH Subculture palette. I actually just posted this on my Instagram not that long ago and said that I was going to be focusing on one of the shades to try to pan. So I'm pretty excited that the ABH Subculture was in there because that way I don't just have to grab it for one shade, I can actually use it. So that's pretty cool. So now, oh, let me clear the wheel, and now it's time to pick another one. So, oh, the ColourPop Bitty palette. I think that's how you say it. I never used that neither. So this is pretty, so far, so good. It's making me get into palettes that I barely even reach for or haven't reached for at all. So we have 2 more palettes that we have to pick. So now let's go for the 4th one. Alright, so the next palette is the Jeffree Star Bloodlust palette. I actually used that palette 2 times. So I used it for the first video that I was trying to film, and that did not go well. But the second look that I actually filmed and uploaded, that went pretty well. So I'm pretty excited to get to play with it a little bit more. Honestly, even if I don't like it that much, I'm going to keep it. So it is what it is. Alright guys, so we picked 4 palettes. We have 1 more palette to pick. I did reset the wheel, and now we are just going to see which palette we are working with. So the last palette that was picked was the e.l.f. Truffles, which is basically the bite-sized eyeshadow palette in truffles. So I'm going to go and get the palettes, and I will be right back. Alright guys, so I am back from getting the palettes. Now I am going to show you the palettes quickly before I end this video. I'm not going to go in any order. I'm just going to go with whatever I pick up. So we got e.l.f. the Truffles palette. It was actually the 5th palette that we picked. I never used this. It is a 4 eyeshadow palette. These retail for $3, but I did use 2 of them and they're really amazing. So I'm pretty excited to roll this in for the month of the palette Roulette. And then the next palette was a ColourPop Bitty palette. I believe it's Bitty. I want to say it's Bitty. I have no idea. This ColourPop palette was like in stock for a short amount of time. I honestly don't see anyone speaking about this palette. I don't know who else has this palette. I never see it on Instagram. In like, you know, anybody's makeup of the day posts. I don't even know, like maybe no one even speaks about this palette. I have no idea, but this is what the palette looks like. It's really, really pretty. It does come with a mirror, which I thought was really cool for their 9-pan palettes. It does seem to be like this is a super shock shadow. It definitely feels like a super shock shadow. And then these 2 are pressed glitters. I normally do not like to play with the pressed glitters, although I am today. I only played with it because I was doing a palette bingo, which was a collab, and I needed to use it. But honestly, if I put it on my inner corner, it's not that bad, just away from my eyeball, okay? But as I mentioned, this is what it looks like. It's really, really stunning, and I never used it. So I'm pretty excited for it being in my palette Roulette this month. The next one that was rolled in was the ABH Subculture one. Now I did use this palette 1 time, and then I used this shade right here like 2 times. I did post this on my Instagram. I did mention that I kind of want to do a pan nap palette without calling it a pan nap palette. I feel like if I call it a pan nap palette, I put too much pressure on myself to only use that palette. But if I focus on one shade at a time, I should be okay. So I'm still going to focus on, you know, that one shade. But I'm so excited that I got this palette for the month because I can use it throughout the month and make progress on other shades instead of just the one shade that I planned on focusing on. It's really, really pretty. This palette gets a lot of people talk about it a lot, and not in a good way, but I'm really excited to be playing around with this palette for this month. So that was the 3rd palette. I don't know, that was the 3rd palette that I showed you. The next palette was a ColourPop Nude palette, which was actually the first palette that we picked, and I'm pretty excited for this as well because I never used this palette. It's so beautiful. This is a super shock shadow that looks like it's about to come out. Okay. Anyways, whatever. It's really, really pretty. It doesn't have any pressed glitters in it, which makes it even more prettier. I know a lot of people, you know, don't like their pressed glitters in the palette, but this one is just stunning. I cannot wait to use it. Look at the packaging. It's so beautiful. It's just really, really cute. So I'm pretty excited for that palette as well. I feel like I have some with some colors and then some for, you know, all natural days or neutral days, natural days or whatever, I don't know. And the last palette that I'm going to be focusing on for the month is this Bloodlust palette from Jeffree Star. Like I said before, I only used it 2 times. I used it for the first video that I was attempting and then for the second one that's actually on my channel. It's a real pretty palette, and you know what, I'm really excited that I got this in there as well because I get to play with it more and see, you know, how to work with the shadows. Did they really suck? You know, is there a way I can work with it to make it better? Whatever the case may be. I know the first day I definitely tried Pink Magic, and it wasn't a shade that I was really into. That shade pissed me the hell off. So I'm pretty light-handed when it comes to my palettes, but Pink Magic, I had to dig in there. Like half of the star is already gone from one use. And I didn't like it. It just was not working. So I get to play with this palette again. I get to see, you know, if maybe it will work. And if it doesn't, what can I do to make it work? I think I have a great selection. I definitely have purples and reds and like pinks in here. I have the all neutral glands. I have the little pinky-ish neutral looks, and then I have the grungy palette right here, which everybody talks crap about. So I'm definitely going to make sure I get a bomb look out of this palette, okay? Because this palette is beautiful. It's stunning. Alright guys, so that is it. That is going to go ahead and complete this video. It was a really quick one just because this is the introduction and I don't have any looks to show you. I don't have any reviews. Like I said before, the next month's video will definitely be a lot longer. I will review each palette for you and let you know what I liked about the palette, what I didn't like, if there was any problems that I had, as well as taking pictures of my eye looks. Hopefully they come out good, because you know sometimes you could get a really good eye look, you could have it all right, and then you try to take a picture of it and it just doesn't look right, okay? But that is going to end this video. I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Stay blessed, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye, and stay safe.